Hey, it's me. I'm back. I know it's been a couple weeks. I was out fighting a fire. Fire season started early for me on April 20th. I was already out on my first fire this year. And then we had the Burgess Creek fire right after that. Our crew saw from the truck on the other side. We were out by Gang Ranch. You could see the column. And we said, uh-oh, our 5-day standby is over. And it's true. We went and spent 13 days of that Burgess Creek fire. It is mostly defeated now. There's still hot spots out there. So there's work to be done. Always putting a fire out is not just putting it out. You have to work the edges and work it and work it and find it where it's hiding, or it will pop back out and come again. Anyways, the weather knocked that fire down mostly and allowed us to get the edge on it. And the problem is we got weather coming again that's going to help fire activity increase. So we got warm temperatures and low humidity coming to British Columbia fire weather. Here is my official fire weather forecast starting for the month of May.
This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Wow. I'll watch the video later.
Feel the heat. I need more knives. I need water.
Ain't dry mopping this.
Okay, hit like, share, subscribe if you would. This is right now in British Columbia. We have low pressure system moving into the province, so we do have some weather for the next few days that will possibly bring some snow to the mountains. We see already this morning we have some convective squalls that are going out by Pinchy, Fraser Lake. Some of those might turn into thunderstorms today. The forecast isn't calling for it in any of the models necessarily, but looking out my window and knowing the caribou, I am seeing the possibility of that happening for sure. Nothing going on in southern BC right now, and out if we go to the coast, we do have showers already hitting through the central part of the island, especially all the way down to Port Alberni, maybe Tofino getting some of that, and up on the, not the Sunshine Coast so much, but maybe if you go up north of Lund, you'll run into that. So that's what's going on in BC today. But here's what we're here to talk about, and that's this ridging. The see we have down here, high pressure ridging, and that's what's going to, as this low moves through over the next few days, it's going to be bringing some of that precipitation into BC, but this ridge is going to start to build its way up towards the province. We're going to look at that and try to get a handle on what's going to happen. So for British Columbia today, Coquihalla Highway, Hope, Merritt, Highway 3, Princeton, Allison Pass, Paulson Summit, Kootenay Pass. Snow levels will remain at low, below mountain pass levels in southern BC tonight into Monday. Pacific frontal system is approaching the south coast. Will cross through BC tonight and exit by late Monday. Snowfall accumulations are expected, very dependent on location. So we're not talking anything crazy going on at all, but we still aren't completely out of the snow quite yet. And that could have a little bit of thunderstorm activity on Monday. We'll have a look at that right now. So you see what the jet stream is today. Busting down. We've been on the north side of that. We've had a lot of these Gulf of Alaska lows that are sort of really reminiscent to 2019, which was a year we got quite a bit of rain. We got a jet stream kind of pointing at the province right now, trying to come in, and it will, in fact, do that. And you can see here by Monday into Tuesday, you can see how that nice big bend, that shortwave bend, so that trough is coming in at that point. Could see a little bit of wind, certainly, but temperatures will be down as this low pressure is bringing cooler air from the north in, right? So that's what we're looking for. But here we're going to see, watch this ridging now start to work its way in. And bam, here it is. That's going to bring the warm weather in by next weekend. We're just watching how it all goes through Monday. So yeah, definitely some snow in the mountaintops. You see those blues in there, definitely some snow. You see the greens on the Alberta side. So I think Alberta is going to possibly see some good thunderstorm activity. Monday, Tuesday, such as such. Southern BC maybe getting some of that rain at times, some of the snow in the high mountains. So that's going to be a mix. Maybe you're going to get some grapple squalls and things like that. But here's our high pressure building up and in. And we see it taken over by Thursday. And now warm temperatures moving into British Columbia above average. We do have expectations of above average temperatures in BC this month, especially up in the Peace region, all in through northern Alberta, Saskatchewan, the Northwest Territories. So that's GFS projections for warmer than average weather up there. But we also do have some projections for more precipitation than average for southern BC from May into July. So that's what we are hoping for, is that La Nina will bring us some relief. By the time we're into Sunday, we're into pretty warm weather in BC again. Yeah, next week starts warm again. So temperatures 25s at places or higher. So these are just some projections for the buildup index. If we look ahead to 1 week from today to Sunday the 12th, I think I got this at. Yes, Sunday, May 12th. And you can see the Peace area already very dry this year. And we have on the Alberta side already some very extreme looking buildup index projections. You look at fire danger, put that together, you see caribou, less fire danger, even though the buildup index is going to be a little higher by next weekend. We still have a very high level situation drought, right? We look at fire weather index. So we take all these and put them together. That's what gives us the buildup index. Fire weather index certainly looks really good for the piece up to Fort Nelson, a little bit in the central British Columbia. We add fine fuel moisture code, Duff moisture code. These are things that add to, put them all together, you get the BUI. So obviously north side, Pacific side of BC, very low. Rocky Mountains, extremely low. So that's not our areas of fire concern. It's definitely through Caribou, Prince George, up to the Peace region, and possibly even down into Kamloops region as early as next weekend. Drought code, what are we looking at for drought code by next week? And these are projections again, but the drought code pretty high in central British Columbia, extremely high in northern British Columbia, and a wide spread area of it, right? And that's just what I was talking about, into Northwest Territories, into the north of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta primarily. And when I say into Manitoba, I mean just touching the border. But that is a concern that we could see stretching out further this year if we don't have any significant rain for Manitoba. So we are concerned about that. So these are the areas we're looking for in Western Canada. The special, the initial spread index, more or less the same areas. But when you looked at those other ones, you saw that we had, our risk still in central BC isn't off the charts. That's what we're seeing here. But we're seeing it's already present, right? It's already present. It's May. It's already present. And like we said in previous fire forecast videos, I anticipate an early start to the fire season. That's exactly what happened to me. April 20th is the start of my fire season. Is an early start by a long shot. Okay, when I was on Type 2 Advanced Crew, we started on the May long weekend. That was the earliest I'd ever started at that time. Then last year for Fort St. John, I was up there May 8th or 9th or 10th, something like that. I can't remember the exact date, but it was second week of May. I was already out and on a 14-dayer. This year it started on April 20th, so the dates keep getting pressed back, and that is definitely something that should worry anybody, right? Should worry anybody. And it's, how even if we had a lot of rain this year, things are so dry already. If that rain comes with lightning, then our concern is obviously that we're going to have still quite a few fire starts this year. We did have some grass fires down by Kamloops last night, I think on the res, and possibly a house fire associated with that. So fires are happening already. Still, the scale is pretty small. The activity is pretty small. The spread, how much they're spreading, is pretty small, but they are still happening. So here's British Columbia today, Sunday, and this is looking at this evening. So we're just skipping through today because basically you can tell looking outside that some rain's coming today, and most of you are not going to see this in time. Do have that slight risk of thunderstorm up in northern BC there, in the Vanderhoof area, places like that. But more or less, that's not what we're really concerned about. That lightning threat seems pretty low still today, right? Seems pretty low still today. And fortunately, I don't think we're going to get a lot of thunderstorm activity because this is a concern with warm weather coming, as we're going to have some starts out there, smoldering around for a few days, skunking in the bush in the down weather, and no one's going to know they're there. And then we're going to get that hot weather, and then suddenly we're going to have 10 or 15 fires wake up at once and say, hey, I'm here. So definitely up in northern BC, they've been getting lots of precipitation. They can keep having some. Rocky Mountains getting some snow. Coastal Mountains getting some snow. Most of the interior BC not getting a whole deal of action. But we look at Monday afternoon, and the location of these keeps changing. But we see sort of a line from Kamloops up to Quesnel already at 1600, 4 o'clock. That slight risk of thunderstorm in those regions, right? And that could also continue on down in the Kootenays, down the trail to Revelstoke sort of corridor. So all along that sort of flank in front of the First Mountain ranges, places getting down to zero. So, that precipitation could fall as snow at that time. And Tuesday, by that point, we do see that low is really sitting in Alberta at this point. And that's where on the backside of it, we could see some aggressive rainfall, some good strong thunderstorms, and things like that throughout the days on Tuesday as well, right? So they really are more the weather story than we are. That high pressure is already starting to build in by Tuesday evening, and for the most part, BC is going to start seeing clearing skies Tuesday night. That's if it's not sooner. We'll switch off of this now, and we'll start having a look at, because we know that thunderstorms aren't really going to be the issue. What we're talking about here today is fire weather. So the temperature is the key ingredient. So we'll have a look at these temperatures. So Wednesday, we're looking at maybe 19 down in southern BC, 20 in Kelowna, Trail, Kamloops 20. Maybe 17s and 16s. Maybe in the sun it'll feel a little warmer though, so we'll see how that translates. What would definitely be concerning is that we already have humidity down by 23%, right? So already by Wednesday, we're looking at low humidity, and pretty warm temperatures. So we're already getting to that kind of weather that fire likes to behave as it will in it by Wednesday, right? And that continues on. If we look at Thursday, we got a wider spread of low humidity, but temperatures coming up a little warmer yet still, 23s, 20, 19s. Similar over in the Alberta side, and we come across Friday afternoon, and now we're seeing crossover weather. So we're seeing that humidity in the 21s. When we look at wind accumulation in the next 3 days, next 5 days, next 10 days, there's going to be times where there's a little bit of wind down there that could help feed fires. So already temperatures 27 in Kamloops, 26 Kelowna, 25 Williams Lake at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Getting warm, and that's the same over on the Alberta side too. 24 is down there. Look down the Washington State, and we see 28s down there, things like that. Saturday, temperatures are not quite so bad, but that's just a brief lull. If we look at the afternoon on Sunday, we got lots of warm weather. We got 33s down in Washington, right? So the heat is nearby. It's out there. It's out there on Monday, 20s. So here's the idea is that next week we're going to see 25s, 24s and whatnot in southern BC and all the way up into northern BC. These are the concerns. And again, that comes with the chance of hitting crossover fire weather. So this is the first weather, I think, in May where we're looking at this low humidity, 13% down there. And if that's in between temperatures of 29, that's very, very high fire chance, right? Fire weather chance. So any spark that's going to land at something dry in that weather, the fire is going to be breathing dry air. Of course, fire wants to breathe dry air. It doesn't want to breathe wet air. It doesn't like water. So it's breathing when the humidity's up. You're not going to get that same fire behavior at 46% humidity as you're going to get if you're down in 10% humidity in Kamloops area, right? So these are very concerning trends that, already by the middle of May, we're getting very hot weather down south. Not unusually hot, of course, but when you consider what we're up against, it's a bad situation. As we look at drought intensity, we go up down to 100 centimeters in the ground. We see that you go down 100 centimeters, you go down a meter in the ground, things are very dry down there, right? Very, very dry. So these are the 100. How deep is that dryness? It's going down. It's going down. And you see, even here in Wells, areas that should be wet. Even the baseball field here, it's usually covered in snow still at this time, and if not, it's full of water until June, right? So, and it's a dry field right now. Here at 4,000 feet in the Caribbean Mountains. So you look at drought intensity and you look at the soil moisture. Certainly, it's the same places again and again. West Caribou looking pretty bad, as well as the Peace, right? We're going to fast forward that drought intensity and start looking as the days get warmer by Friday, and it's getting stronger all the way into Mackenzie area as well, up and down that stretch of the Rockies. That sort of goes along the Prince George up the Heart, and then the Rockies down that way into the Goat Wilmore Wilderness, places like that. And the West Caribou, Chilcote, and extremely dry. You look at Francois Lake, Burns Lake, those areas extremely dry. If we can jump ahead to Monday and we see this warmer weather, what's it going to do? Get down to the 100 centimeter depth, have a look down there. And we see that drought situation is worsening in British Columbia. It's not getting better at all. So maybe today, fire spread is still pretty repressed at most of BC, but not up in Fort Nelson. Quite high there. And in the Alberta side, into the boreal forest there, pretty dry. And the fire spread chance is pretty good. And here's, you see the fuel moisture code, fuel moisture in general, how dry will the fuel be? Well, today, that's yesterday. Today, still not too bad, but we're going to jump ahead to Thursday when we know already what we're dealing with for warmer weather coming. You see that fire spread in through the Caribou looking better. Certainly all of Alberta not looking too good. Fort Nelson looking quite bad. Fort St. John looking quite bad. We know that there are still zombie fires out there in those places. We jump ahead to Sunday. We see it spreading Monday. So there you go. You know, here's our areas that we're most looking at to start the year, from the Prince George region straight down to Vernon. I mean, that's typical, of course, to be the place that you'd expect it to be. I mean, you don't expect that fire danger to be high in Terrace, of course, but you know, this is a little bit weird. That fuel moisture in the lower mainland is already interesting, right? So, in that fire spread danger there before the Williams Lake area, not looking good for that whole sort of side from Hanceville, Soda Creek, 100 Mile House, that sort of triangle down to Alkali. That is not looking really good fire spread by next week. And Kamloops area the same, Kelowna the same. The areas you kind of most expect it, sure. Not where we want it right now. Fort St. John looking real bad. Peace River, Alberta looking real bad. Fort Nelson looking real bad. So we're concerned, I think, the biggest concern, I think, is the peace. And that's, you know, to be expected, I guess. I think everyone knows that already. You know, we need data to prove it. And you know, as we get closer, the numbers line up, and it seems more and more like Western Canada still has a lot of fire risk this year for sure. I think that if we do get that precipitation, that's expected to be above average in southern BC in, you know, May, June, and July. We might see these numbers change at some point, but at this point, I'm still not entirely sure when that will be. And I like to only look so far ahead. Heat wave is coming, says the Weather Network. I only like to look so far ahead. So the Weather Network has a 14-day trend on here, and that 14-day trend has certainly a spike. Can you really be sure? So they think chance of thunderstorm next week, Monday. Sure, that's a week away, you know, but that's not good. Certainly, that'll be the next thing we'd be looking at if I have time to make a future video, if I'm not back out in a fire call sooner than later, right? So those are the things to be looking for. Make sure you keep tuned to this channel. I'll definitely keep putting forecast videos out as I can, as well as I do have some footage from our first fire I'll be releasing soon. You know, this year I'm going to be slow to put up videos of the fires our crews are on, because mostly, you know, I'm not there to make videos. I'm there to work, and I take time here and there to pull my phone out for 20, 30 seconds and take a clip here and there throughout the day. And then by the time I'm done a fire, I've got enough video clips that if I string them together and edit them, I can make something pretty nice. But nonetheless, I'm not there to do that. And, you know, I think for the most part, it's just best to, you know, wait a few months after a particular fire before, you know, try to be mindful of what I do and what I'm saying, I guess, is all. Because I'm not a fire information officer of any sort. Don't ask me about any particular fire, especially if I'm working on it too much. But I can tell you about fire weather. I can tell you what the weather's going to do and how that's going to influence fires in general, right? So that's what we have here for you. Fire weather forecast. Hit like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll keep having more for you. This is the channel. If you're interested in what fire weather is going to be like for British Columbia, this is the channel to keep tuned to as well. If you want to know what it's like to be a firefighter or what we do in our day, do check out some of my playlists from past fire seasons, and you'll see hardworking crews, both contract and with the ministry. I love my job. I love working for ministry. I think BC Wildfire Service is one of the best organizations I've ever seen or been part of. They think of everything, and if they can make it happen, they will. They take care of you out there, right? So, I mean, we work hard. We do things no one else would do, but and sometimes there's the odd loss, but there's thousands of wins, you know. So I just love my job so much. I always surrounded by such great people, and the feeling of getting our first 2 victories down this year, it's motivating. It's motivating. I'm already ready to. I've already shaken off some of that winter fat. Okay, well, see you next time, everybody. Thanks. Bye for now.